Peace, family. It's your boy Zay-P. Zay-P that I am. I am that I am, as you are that you are, for we are all that we are. Today I'm just going to do a quick video because I really wanted to get in and talk a little bit about balance. So balance is such an important facet and aspect to our reality and to our life experiences that goes completely overlooked. Now, as Spirit relates it to me that we live in the world of the physical, and in the world of the physical, there are set parameters for the way things work. Things have to work on kind of a linear scale, and things work in this scale of polarity. But really, the way we perceive it down here on Earth in the physical base level, we see that as duality. We see that as this or that. Not often do we look at the world within the nuances and recognize the various shades of gray and recognize that everything is on a scale. And so if everything is on a scale, which is polarity, right, where everything kind of is transient and really is based on perception, whether or not you perceive something one way or another. In this physical reality, we function at a place where everything looks dualistic, everything looks separate, right? And that is for a reason. This is part of what we talk about when we talk about the matrix. The matrix is partly in our mind, and it's partly just the way circumstances have been set up here in the physical. All of these things come together in a multi-dimensional level to kind of create this tapestry and fabric that is a matrix over our own sense of awareness, over our own conscious perception. But really beyond that, we are so much more on an energetic level. We are actually operating on all planes. Just our consciousness, our awareness and focus is present here in the physical. And so that is where we experience most things on a conscious level until we begin to go within and tap deeper. Once you start to tap deeper, you start to bring yourself into these different levels where you can experience things that's happening outside of your body, but still within you, where you can experience things that's happening in the emotional realms, where you can experience things happening and coming in the mental realms, telepathy, telepathic natures, empathy, empathic natures. When you actually are able to kind of come into stillness, come to that 0 point, again, this video being about balance, you're able to sense and discern and start to interact with so much more in the world beyond just the dualistic things and the linear perception that we believe we are experiencing here on this 3D plane. So, for instance, in the 3D level, I can be sitting here and I'm just having my conscious stream of thought channeling. That said, I'm sitting here and I'm believing myself to be thinking, to be processing. If you come to this point of stillness, you start to tap in and you start to perceive the fact that there are things happening within the mind. You may even start to feel the energy moving around in your brain. You may actually start to feel this energy coming into that headspace. You may start to recognize that there are thoughts all around that you can just reach out and pick and gravitate towards. Now, where you're operating at in this physical level is going to affect what you magnetize and attract and gravitate towards on these more etheric levels. So if I'm in a very negative physical state, in the etheric levels, telepathically, I'm going to pick up on more negative, pessimistic thoughts, darker thoughts than I would if I'm operating at a high vibrational, more joyous state. So if I'm in a joyous state and I'm in a celebratory nature, in a gratitude place, when I tap in and I start to go within, you begin to perceive and receive more higher vibrational messages and thoughts that will lift you up, that'll be more positive, be more optimistic. Coming back to this idea of balance, the reason why I wanted to do this video on balance is because this world is so out of whack. It's such a world that's built on duality that we are all manipulated to kind of pick and choose sides, whether it's a political side, whether it's a racial side, whether it's a sexual side, whether it's, your sexuality or your genders. It's all, everything in this world is set up for us to choose. When you allow yourself to kind of come to this place of stillness, when you allow yourself to kind of come to this place of balance, that's when you start to clear away the cobwebs, see through the illusions, and start to be able to find your own strength from this present here now moment. In a very balanced and centered place, when you are just being balanced, you have more accessibility to all spheres, to all aspects, to all emotions and mindsets. From that place, you can pick and choose how you're going to operate. So it's very easy to be influenced. It's very easy to be led astray, to be led one way or another, right? The blind leading the blind. All of that happens when you're not balanced. So this is one of the things that you'll see happen a lot within media and things of that nature. They pump all of these stories at you to trigger a reaction, to trigger a volatile, visceral reaction in you. Oh my God, that's horrible. I don't like that. Oh my God, fear. I don't like that. I resist. I push. Now, when you start to tap into that, you're no longer in a balanced place. And when you're no longer in a balanced place, you've been influenced. And now the messages that start to bombard you from that particular direction are going to sway you more in that direction. If you are a fearful person, if you're sitting in a fearful moment and you hear a lot of bad, fearful news stories, that's going to push you more into fear. And so with that said, if you're functioning in a very joyous place, in a very high vibrational place, maybe you're just very grateful, gratitude, you're going to feel into and tap into more of that energy. When you hear stories that are very positive, very uplifting, you're going to feel into that. And now this is not a bad thing. However, it can also be an illusory trap, because what happens is, and you see this a lot in many spiritual communities in general, you see this a lot with people who are thought to be more optimistic to an unrealistic point of view, where you start to ignore or reject or completely overlook other things that need to be addressed. So you see this in a lot of spiritual communities where people start to do what's called bypassing. I'm so high vibrational, I'm all about love and light, that they no longer even are dealing with their own shadows, or they're no longer able to look around and see the traumas and horrors of the world, or they lose compassion for that side of the scale because they're so busy being uplifted and in this high vibrational energy, which is a good thing, but they get so lost on that side of the sphere that they lose their ability to be compassionate for others on the other side of the sphere, or they may lose their ability to even do the deeper work that's needed to be done to heal themselves. And what happens from that is that when that work is not done, or when you neglect or ignore the darkness around you, when you neglect or ignore the dangers, the potential dangers of your world, you also make yourself more susceptible. You make yourself more vulnerable, more a victim, more likely to become a victim. And so this is where balance becomes very important, because it's very important to kind of maintain a space of neutrality and maintain this balance point within the self that you can come to, where you can be detached from expectations, detached from potential outcomes, to be in a place where you are optimistic, vibrationally hopeful for things, but also very mindful and aware of the darker side of things and what else is maybe coming. From this place, you bring yourself to a more empowered state in the present here now moment. Is this present here now moment the only place that you have actual power? This is the only place you actually have power to take actions on whatever it is that you're working on. It's the only place you have power of choice. It's the only place you have that power to be present and live from this moment. Everything else, whether you're leaning into fear, whether you're leaning into complete naivete and optimistic thinkings, all of these places are very disempowered places, because it leaves you detached from the other half of yourself. Whether you're sitting or leaning towards the darker side, or whether you're sitting and leaning towards the lighter side, both of these sides are within you. The idea is to balance them out. We balance them out by dealing with our darker sides, healing our broken, fractured pieces, and allowing our lighter sides to kind of enter those darker spaces and heal up the broken pieces. We allow our darkness to be transmuted more towards the light, and we allow our light to grow and become more informed through the experiences of dealing with the dark. You need light to have that contrast, and at the same time, light has no meaning without the darkness to be contrasted against. So it's very important that you are able to be balanced so that you can bring both of these sides into harmony. You can start to heal your broken pieces. You can start to bring some light into your dark and transmute the dark. And you can start to make your own light more powerful and more practical here in the physical realm. Because when you're just floating on these heavenly, lighter energies, you're not really doing too much here in the physical. We are the tree of life. It is our job in the middle realm to bring the light as we're rooted into the dark, as we're rooted into the earth, to bring down the energy of heaven. It is not our job to sit in the energy of heaven, completely disconnected from the earth, completely disconnected from everything below us. We stand in the center point, galvanizing and accessing both polarities, because both polarities are in us. We heal our broken pieces. We bring light to the dark. We transmute darkness into light. And we allow the light to become densified in this 3D real world. When we do that, we become more whole in ourselves. We become more whole in our beings. And that is the purpose of what we are doing here. We are here to be balanced and to bring wholeness to ourselves so that we can bring wholeness to the collective and we can start to experience oneness with all. But that doesn't happen if we're just sitting on one side of the fence, judging the other, or we're sitting on the other side of the fence, being completely disempowered and disconnected. That only happens when we bring both polarities to oneness within ourselves. We become whole in ourselves, and we do that from the space of balance, from the space of the 0 point energy. That comes from within, and it heals all without. So, this is the message for today. It is important for us to remember this and to bring this with us into our daily lives. How can we be more balanced? Less charged negatively or positively, but more in a balanced state where we can see and lean into our preferences, but not fall victim to our prejudices and judgments. When we can sit in that balanced place, we are able to access both sides of the spectrum, all of the polarity within, and actually create an entire whole scope, a whole being within ourselves. And so this message is a reminder to you all to stay balanced, my friends, and find your place of power from within, right here in that still 0 place, that still 0 point.